In a previous video, which I will link up here, I showed you 5 flat style EDC flashlights. In this video, I have 3 more. The first one is this. This is the Rovivon E8 Angel Eyes flashlight. This was sent to me free of charge by Rovivon, but they are not sponsoring this video. In fact, I've had this for some time and I'm just posting about it now because I've been enjoying having this around. Right off the bat, one of the interesting things about this flashlight is not only does it have a built-in battery, but if you flip up this little doohickey here and twist here, you can actually add in a AAA battery and run off of that. So when you first put a battery in and you turn it on, you will see that it has lit up, or at least I hope you can see that it says AAA, and therefore you are running off the AAA battery. I think that is default behavior, so if there's a battery in there, it will run off of that. Otherwise, it will default to the LiPo battery, which is also marked there. Probably difficult to see in this cool translucent design, which I rather like. But if your normal battery has run out, i.e. the LiPo one, and you want to keep around some AAAs, then you know you're always going to have power. So quite nice to have 2 power sources. Other interesting things about it, it's got 2 LEDs at the front, and it's also got an array of 3 at the side, and we'll talk about those in a minute. Let me just check my cheat sheet. So the front ones can do half a lumen, 10 lumens, 100 lumens, and 700 lumens, as well as a strobe function. So there are 4 output modes on the front LEDs. You've got this Moonlight, which is half a lumen, and that's just operated with 1 click on the top button. There's 2 buttons, one controls the front ones and one controls the side ones, which again we'll get onto in a minute. Then you've got 10 lumens, which is a double press. Then you've got 100 lumens, which is a single press in that mode, and then you've got 700 lumens, which is the third option. So you've got 10, 100, and then you've got 700. So pretty bright out of those front 2. And then just hold it down to turn it off, and just a single press will always give you that half lumen Moonlight mode. So that's the front LEDs. So for the LEDs on the side, it's operated by the second switch underneath the first one, and then you will get single press gives you 0.3 lumens, and then the second level is 60 lumens. So there's only 2 on that side LED. But it's also got a red light which can flash. It can do like a strobe, slow flash, or solid. And then if you give it a triple click, then if you do a triple click, you'll get a UV mode, and you can check things for germs or check banknotes or whatever. And it does say on here that you can do a red and blue flashing, but I actually can't work out how to get that to operate. A triple click of the top button will also give you strobe. So there's quite a lot of functionality on that particular light, as well as the option to run it off both the USB-C charged internal LiPo battery or a AAA battery, which is pretty cool. And all the functions work with either battery. And it's a nice flat style with a carry clip included, reasonably deep carry, which is also removable if you so wish. So that's pretty cool. That's the Rovivon E8. My tea's going cold. I'm wondering why. Oh. Number 2 is the Olight O-Clip, and I've shown this in a couple of videos. This is my current EDC flashlight of choice for my pouch. So it just clips in there nicely. I've attached a lanyard, and this thing is pretty cool. It is USB-C chargeable, unlike some other Olights that we'll talk about in a minute. You don't need a proprietary charger, so that's good. It's pretty small. Obviously, it's nice and flat. If you want to compare it to the Rovivon, it's significantly shorter. It's a tad fatter, mainly because of the clip. It's probably a bit heavier, although that does depend on whether or not you have the extra battery in here, although a AAA doesn't weigh that much. And it's got a single switch operation, so nowhere near as many modes as this, and by far less complicated. This is where I find out it's got no battery in it. It hasn't, it's run out. Let's give that a charge. Now, as with a lot of the other lights, this is said to have 4 brightness levels. So if you hold, you get the moonlit mode, which is pretty low, and that's 1.5 lumens. And then if you cycle through, you get low, which is 10. Then you get medium, which is 100. But the high doesn't seem to materialize, which is supposed to be 300 lumens. Now, I can only assume, because I've seen other people with this same issue online, is that it's very battery dependent. So it probably needs to be on full battery and sort of completely cold, because it does say it drops down to 180 after 1 minute. But it may also not enact if it hasn't got enough power, so bear that in mind. It's also got a strobe feature, which is a triple click, and there's also a proper strobe if you need that. And if you double click or double press, then you're going to get a red, which can be handy for nighttime use. That can also flash if you wanted to use it as, say, like a bike light, or clip it to the back of your collar if you're running, something like that, something that I have done in the past. So the functions listed, I can't get them all to activate right now, and honestly, I generally use it as the higher, just on and off. So for the moonlight mode, you just hold it down for a couple of seconds and then you'll get the low. Or if you hold it down for longer, then you'll actually get the lockout mode. And that means you'll get that red indicator to show that you can't turn it on. And then you have to hold it down again and it'll go back into moonlit mode, and then you can cycle through the low and the high, or the low and the medium, depending on what it is. So functionality wise, again, it's a sort of common number of button presses and holds and that kind of thing. The other thing I like about this as well, it's got the magnet. So again, this is super useful because it's got both the clip, so if you need to clip it onto something and you're kind of intending to use it as, you know, working on something, or, you know, you can clip it, or you can use the magnet and attach it to something metal if you're working on something there. So it's got more than one method of being able to use it, which is pretty cool. You could also use the hole in it to hang it from somewhere and use it as a kind of tent light. There is a bunch of use with this tiny light, so it is really good. I just can't get all of the functions out of it. But the same can be said about any of the flashlights. Sometimes I would prefer just a kind of a low and a high and an on and an off. I don't necessarily use most of the other functions on most of my flashlights. And number 3 is this. This is the Olight Arcfield UV. And this is a fair bit bigger than the others. Again, if I compare it to the Rovivon, it's probably nearly twice the height. It's almost as wide, and it's slightly fatter. But this is a really nice form factor I've found, and it slips beautifully into the pocket. It's got a double clip, so it's got a deep carry, and it's also got a clip so that you can clip it to, say, a hat if you want to use it as a head torch. This is one of Olight's flashlights that has the proprietary magnetic charger on the bottom, which does come with the light, so you don't have to buy it separately, which is always good. And it's kind of nice to have a magnet on the tail, to be honest, because it comes in fairly handy at various times. So that's kind of an added benefit of the magnetic charger. That said, you do obviously have to keep a specific charger handy, whereas something like the Rovivon or the Olight O-Clip has a USB-C charger, so you're likely to already have one of those to hand in most instances. The operation of this light is also super simple because it's got one on and off button, and then it's just got this kind of rotating dial to switch between the two modes. The arc field has 5 brightness levels. Number 1 is a moonlit mode, which if you hold the switch down, you'll get a really light 1 lumen, I believe it is. Let me check. Yes. And then you get a low mode, which is 15 lumens. You will get a medium mode, which is 60 lumens. And then you will get a high, which is 300 lumens. There is also a turbo, which starts off at 1000 lumens, which should activate when you quickly double press, but I think I have run out of battery in order to enact that. You can also activate a strobe mode by a triple press. So the interface is fairly simple. You just got to remember your button presses, but there is only one button and the modes kind of cycle through for the most part, low, medium and high. Then if you switch the switch to UV, there's the little switch selector, which is a really big fidget toy, by the way, if you've got this in your pocket. You've then got access to the UV mode, and that's just a single press on or off. The other nice thing about this is it's super sturdy. It's fully aluminium or aluminum, depending on where you're watching this. And you can get it in a bunch of colors. I got this one on discount for literally like 60% off or something. And it's in this pretty cool black and red kind of, I don't know, monster scratches kind of design. So it's kind of nice. More popular colors tend to go out of stock pretty quickly. Something like this kind of OD green like I'm wearing in this shirt is unlikely to be available very often, the times I've checked. You also get, when you turn it on, you get a nice battery indicator there. So you can tell what sort of state your battery's in. You don't get a full percentage readout like you do on some others, but you do get something. I left it too long, it's cold. So that's the Olight Arc Field UV. They also do a pro version that adds a laser, or they do a laser and flashlight, or this one is the flashlight and UV. There's a bunch of them. They're normally quite expensive, but you can get deals on them, so look out for that. I personally am a big fan of these flat style flashlights. They're kind of nice to hold. They don't roll off tables and things. They fit nicely in your pocket. But what do you think? Let me know down in the comments below. Are you now carrying a flat style flashlight, or are you a traditionalist and you still like that barrel style? Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.